I'm joined here with James Carson from EOS Worldwide. Um, and yeah, it was a mutual sort of partner of both of ours that put us in touch with one another. It was good old Darren Strong over at Scalable MSP. And James and I have been having some conversations over the last few months because here at Halo we're trying to provide more rich content for MSPs to help level up their business. And James is a piece in that puzzle. So yeah, James, thanks for joining today.
Pleasure. Great to be here.
So we'll start off. I'm aware that a fair few of you in the webinar today are already familiar with Halo, so I won't spend too much time boring you again with the sales pitch, but just a quick introduction to Halo for those of you that uh, are not aware of who we are and what we do. So uh, the Probably the most shocking factor about Halo is just how long we've been around. So we hired our first employee in 2007, which does come as a surprise to some people because HaloPSA is somewhat seen as the new kid on the block. But really, the reason for that is because from 2007 all the way up to 2019, we were running a Windows-based help desk application. And then round about 2019, we threw that away and we built Halo, the web app from the ground up. Of course, we did so without any technical debt because we started from scratch, but we did so with a wealth of knowledge under our belt. Years of doing things right and years worth of mistakes as well. And we had an opportunity to build upon the things we were doing well and correct the things that we weren't. And what that meant was, around about 5 or 6 years ago, when I joined the company, Halo was launched and we kind of hit the ground running. And since then, it's just been a crazy journey. We've grown from strength to strength. Currently on track for our 8th consecutive year of 100% growth,
Wow.
while maintaining complete private ownership. So you can see there that Paul Hamilton, the original founder of Halo, is still the active CEO today, and it still comes into the office every day and sits in the support desk with people that have been at Halo for 12 years or 12 weeks. So it's really encouraging to see. As I mentioned, we are sorry. As I mentioned, I'm tuning in from the UK, but we are a global company. Our headquarters are in Suffolk, but we've got offices over in America, in Washington State, and Melbourne, Florida, and Melbourne, Australia, and over in Dubai and India as well. What we do here at Halo is pretty straightforward. We sell, develop, implement, support a single platform, the Halo platform. But that platform is diverse enough to satisfy a variety of different markets. So, of course, there's HaloPSA, which is tailored for MSPs, but we've also got our sister companies, Halo ITSM, that's taking on the enterprise space and in direct competition with ServiceNow. And then more recently, as of last year, Halo CRM, that's built for service delivery teams and sort of B2C setups. If you could hop onto the next slide, please, James. Thank you very much. Yeah. In terms of HaloPSA, HaloPSA is a fully fledged PSA platform, offering all of the features that you would expect from an enterprise grade PSA tool, and all offered under a single subscription plan, which is per seat based. So everything that you see there, including AI functionality, stock, project management, the sending and e-signing of proposals is all included in your package. If you want to enable or disable such a feature, it is a simple case of enabling or disabling the module. There's no hidden fees. It's one product, it's one plan, and it's one price. But that's not why we're here today. Why we're here today is as I mentioned, because we here at Halo have spent a lot of time being product focused, having our head down, working on the platform, And we feel that we've got the platform to an incredibly strong position in the market. It doesn't stop there though. We want to continue to give back to our community, and we want to make sure that our MSPs are the most successful MSPs in the industry. And having a powerful platform is only part of the puzzle there. There's a lot more when it comes to running a successful operation in your MSP. And that's precisely why we have James here today. So I'll hand it over to you, James.
Brilliant. Thanks so much. I love hearing about Halo and about their journey. It's fascinating. Great story. So bit of background. So my name's James Carson, and for those of you that know EOS already, I'm an EOS implementer. For those of you that don't, I will share more as we go along. But fundamentally, what I do is I help business owners get everything they want from their business by implementing a simple, practical, and proven framework that's called EOS, which stands for the Entrepreneurial Operating System. And I typically work with teams of growing companies of around 10 to 250 employees, although we do work with smaller and we do work with bigger. And they're the kind of companies that are feeling stuck, stretched, and basically out of control. And together, I work with those teams to create clarity, discipline, so they can get real traction. And so the whole business runs more smoothly and grows stronger. My goal for today is about helping you to start using a predictable and proven way to grow a great team, one that removes that guesswork and ends the cycle of trial and error. Now, here's the thing. You can't achieve a great vision without great people. And the trouble is, every organization, they just define great people differently. And that's exactly what I want to dive into today. So here's how the next hour is going to work, more or less, actually probably about 50 minutes. The first section, what I want to do is I'm going to give you some context. I want to talk about the background and the foundation of about getting the right people into the right seats, and we'll explore why that matters and why it works. In the second section, I'm going to show you the specific tools that we use to get the right people into the right seats in your business. And finally, in the third section, I'm going to open it up for some questions. As Morgan said, if you've got any questions along the way, please feel free to drop them into the Q&A. And hopefully Morgan will find the right time to share them. Probably be at the end, though, I guess. So, quick bit of housekeeping. When you received your invite for today, you should have been given the option to download the People Analyzer. Hopefully you've got a copy of that printed and ready to write on. And hopefully you've got a couple of pieces of blank paper and a pen handy. So if everybody's ready, we'll get going. So here's what we're going to do today. We're going to use the people tools and disciplines of EOS to help you find the right people and put them in the right seats in your organization. We've only got about an hour, so I'm just going to cover the essentials. It's like a taster, really. And hopefully by the end of today, get you moving in the right direction. So our purpose today is really simple, to help you start getting the right people in the right seats for your unique organization. So let me share a little bit about EOS before we get started, and a little bit about me, so you just know that I'm not here practicing on you. So when I work with leadership teams, I help them with three things, help them to get better at three things. Vision, that means getting everyone in the organization 100% on the same page of where you're trying to get to and how you plan to get there. Traction means instilling discipline and accountability throughout your organization, so no matter where you go, people are executing on that vision. And healthy is about making the leadership team a more cohesive, functional, open and honest, fun-loving team, because let's be frank, a lot of the time they're not. Now, from there, we find as goes the leadership team, so follows the rest of the organization. And ultimately, you get to a point where everybody in your organization is rowing in the same direction, 100% on the same page with your vision, executing on that vision with discipline and real accountability, and working together as a healthy, cohesive bunch of people who enjoy spending time together. Now, the kinds of organizations that I work with are entrepreneurial. Most of them range from about 10 to 250 employees, and their owners and leaders are growth-orientated and open-minded. They're willing to be open and honest and vulnerable with themselves and those around them, and they're more afraid of the status quo than they are of change. Now, everything I'm going to share with you today was created by a lifelong entrepreneur by the name of Gino Wickman. Now, EOS is just a set of simple, real-world, practical tools and timeless concepts that have been around for 100 years. They're going to be around for 1,000. I'm not going to share with you any new fads, any silver bullets, or any magic pills in EOS. Now, since Gino created EOS, Gino, myself, and about another 840 other implementers around the globe have conducted about 250,000 full-day sessions to the leadership teams of more than 26,000 businesses. Now, EOS is about getting everything you want from your business, which is not always growth, but it's worth noting that last year, companies running on EOS grew at an average rate of about 34% year-on-year revenue. And so we're all on the same page. I just want to be very clear. EOS is not a software. It's a management operating system that maximizes human energy, delivering better results for businesses and more fulfilling lives for the people that run them. So a little bit about me. There's two things that really drive me. I love to be able to provide value far in excess of cost, and I really love to help people succeed. Now, I did the sensible thing, went to university, got a great job, got myself to director level, but throughout that journey, I really never felt that I was giving the value that I thought I could. So I did the very unsensible thing and went and started my own business. And much like everybody on this call today, I set up an MSP. And yeah, I know the pain, everybody. And initially it was quite good fun, had some nice people around me, we were making a bit of money and we were scaling. But we got to a point where I was working more hours, we were making less money, people weren't doing what I was saying, and quite frankly, I'd lost control of the business, and I was about this far from quitting it. But thankfully, serendipity stepped in, handed me a book, the book Traction, which is the kind of the Bible for EOS. And like every great entrepreneur that is out there, I was too busy to read it. Thankfully, I did get round to it eventually, and I was very relieved when I'd read the first 30 pages and saw, thank God, there is a system that works that I can just copy. And went out, found an implementer. They came into the business, and almost immediately it made a difference. In the first 3 months, we were starting to get some traction. We were getting the important stuff done. In 6 months, I felt like we had better people around us. The business was starting to level out. We were having more control. And then fast forward sort of 12 months, 18 months, I think we tripled our profits and we were really starting to motor. And it just became more fun again. And I had no reason to want to quit the business at that point. It was a great thing. And thankfully, fast forward a few years, I was in a very fortunate position to be able to exit because I built a really good team around me using the people tools I'm going to share with you today. And it didn't take much effort to find out what I was going to do next, because even though I wasn't an implementer before, I told everybody I knew about EOS, and now I get to tell people and get paid for it. So I love sharing EOS. I probably do it for free, to be honest. Anyway, that being said, what I'd like to do now is just give you a bit of context about EOS, okay? So that you understand how the people tools fit into the bigger picture. The best way to illustrate EOS is with a model, and at the center of that model is your business. Now, this model actually stems from a discovery that all entrepreneurs and business leaders, they tend to wrestle with 136 issues simultaneously. And this discovery tells us the extent that you can strengthen the 6 key components of your business. Those issues, they tend to fall into place because they're simply symptoms of the real root cause. All issues come from a weakness in one or more of those components. And this is a journey to strengthen 6 key components of your business. And I'm going to just quickly take you through each of those components. Now, the first component is a vision component. Every organization must have a vision. And this is about getting everybody 100% on the same page of how you're going to get there and where you're trying to get to. And what I will do is there's 2 tools and disciplines we use to strengthen each of those components. I'm not going to have time today to go through each of those components, but in the future, I'll be happy to do so. But we're just going to focus on the people today. So the second component is the people component. And this is about getting having a great vision means you've got to have great people around you. And the truth is, as I've said already, every organization defines great people differently. And today we're going to start getting to what makes a great person for your organization. Now, the third component is the data component. Now, this is about running your business on facts and figures and objective data rather than feelings and egos and subjective emotions that often drive decision making in an entrepreneurial organization. Now, when you strengthen these 3 components, the vision, the data, and the people component, the organization, it starts to become more transparent, more crystal clear. The impurities and the imperfections, the problems, the challenges and the obstacles, they jump out at you, but also the ideas and the opportunities that you want to take advantage of, which leads us nicely to the fourth component, which is the issues component. Now, strengthening the issues component is just getting really good at solving issues as they arise. The fact is, you can't achieve success if you're not great at setting up your problems as they happen, knocking them down and making them go away forever. The fifth component is the process component. Strengthening this component is about getting all the most important stuff in your business done the right way, the best way every time. It creates consistency, scalability, and it makes your business easier to manage, more fun to run, and more profitable. And really, I'd have to say that was the one that really appealed to me when I first got introduced to EOS. And then finally, the sixth component is the traction component. And this is all about bringing that vision down to the ground and executing on that vision day in, day out. There's no coincidence in this model that the vision's at the top of the model and traction's at the bottom. Because if you can't bring your vision down to the ground and execute on it, well, vision without traction is just hallucination. So now in the future, we can absolutely talk about all the other two tools that we use to strengthen the traction component and all the other components. We don't have time today. We're just going to focus on the people component. But these are the 6 components that make up the EOS model. And EOS, as I've already said, it stands for the Entrepreneurial Operating System. And it's just a way of harmonizing and orchestrating all the moving parts of your business to help you run a better business and live a better life. Okay, so we're going to dive into the people component. What I want to do is to get right into the people component. And first, we're going to start with the right people and the right seats. So you're probably familiar with the term core values. Now, we define them as an essential set of guiding characteristics to define who you are at your core and what you want from the culture of your organization. Now, when I work with my clients, I'll normally take them through, well, I will take them through a discovery exercise to help them identify what their true core values are. Unfortunately, that takes a few hours. We don't have time for that today. So we're just going to kind of cut through that a little bit. But here's a question for everybody on the call today. What are your core values? Now, I'm going to make the assumption some of you already know them, but for those of you that don't worry, that's okay. Here's what I want to do today, though. I want you to commit something to paper. If you already know what your core values are, please write them down, your 3 to 7 core values. If you don't, please don't go over 7. 3 to 5, that tends to be the sweet spot for most organizations. For those of you who aren't sure, I just want to take 30 seconds to talk to you specifically. I want to help you to commit something to bring this idea to life because core values define who you are as a team and as an organization. They shape your culture. If there are 20 organizations in this workshop, I don't know how many we've got today, but there's literally going to be 20 different sets of core values. Every one of my clients has a unique set of core values. No 2 organizations are the same. And that's why it's so important, especially if you aren't sure about yours, to commit to something, because core values typically stem from the leader. And even if you're not 100% sure, I want to help you to start bringing this concept to life. So hopefully you can see the slide. And on the slide, you can see there is a lot of different core values. If you don't know what your core values are, please just pick 3 that resonate with you. Have a look at the list and ask yourself, if I had 30 people in my organization and they all exhibited these core values, could I take over the world? Just pick 3 that resonate. Please have something written down because what we want to do in the next section is really bring this to life. Okay, so once you've got your core values, here's what should happen. Your job as a leader will be to hire based on these values, to fire based on these values, to review, reward, and recognize your team based on these core values. And you'll build and protect a culture around these values. And remember, if someone doesn't share your core values, it doesn't make them right or wrong. It doesn't make them good or bad. You being clear and firm about your core values doesn't make you right or wrong either. It just makes you effective as a leader. I always like to say it this way and think about it this way. If you're going to be in business for 5, 10, possibly 20 years, why not surround yourself with people who share your core values? That way, the organization fits like a glove and everyone is running in the same race together. Morgan, I know we talked earlier. You said you had a nice story you could tell us about core values from your perspective.
Yeah, yeah. I so in terms of Halo's core values, keeping it to three, the three that really resonate with me would be ruthless efficiency, autonomy, and pulling from that list probably help first. Um, and there are many anecdotes and many stories that I can provide where people at Halo have exhibited these values, but one that springs to mind is around autonomy. And this is a story from about a year ago now, I think maybe a little bit more, um, where we were looking to implement a, a call routing effectively, and we have a phone in our support room that rings very loudly if no one on the support desk answers the call. So it goes through to different teams, and if no one's answered it, this blaring phone rings, and of course, someone will then go and pick it up. And when we were implementing this, someone needed to get a phone and a SIM card, and instead of asking management if it was okay to use the company card to buy a phone and a SIM card, this individual just went to Asda, like a supermarket for those Americans and Canadians. Went to a store, bought a phone and a SIM card themselves, didn't tell anyone about it, brought it back to the office and implemented it. And I think that's a real sort of strong story, just touching on Halo's core values, namely around the autonomy. We're all pretty young here, so I'm 28 and I'm above the average age of a Halo employee, which is kind of terrifying. But everyone here at Halo is given the ability to make their own mistakes and do things for themselves. And what that allows is twofold. Firstly, those individuals that are the most ambitious are not held back. They can do what needs to be done for the benefit of Halo and for the benefit of you guys. And also it ties into that other core value of Halos, where we're talking about efficiency. Um, Giving people the autonomy to do what needs to be done in the business does keeps things moving quickly. And yeah, that's a little bit about Halo.
I love that. I love the idea that you've employed people based upon them having that value, and then it's been proved in the real world that you've got those people, so you don't need for people to be told what to do all the time. And
Mm.
if you were a valued person that didn't display that, then they probably need to be told, go and do this, go and do that. And yeah, certainly moves the dial, doesn't it?
Yeah,
I
exactly.
like that.
It's funny. A lot of us are involved in the interviewing process as well. I've done a couple myself, and we never explicitly ask those questions about what an individual's core values are, but we always seem to know. It's almost like an unspoken truth. Um, a lot of it's based on feel. We'll have a chat with someone in an interview. We're not asking the typical interview questions. By the time they've made it into the office to have an interview, it's very much an informal chat. But we get it pretty spot on 90% of the time. So yeah.
Perfect. Perfect. Right. So I would like a couple of volunteers now, if possible, from the attendees. Maybe some of you might be able to write down what your core values are in the chat. I'd just like to read out a few of them, if that's okay. If I could hear from somebody who's just came up with their three core values and somebody that already knows them, that would be quite helpful. And then I'll just read them out. I can bring the chat up.
Don't be shy, guys.
Yeah, I got nothing so far. Brilliant. Okay, so this is Matt, and he's doing the right thing the right way, servant driven. Love this. Getting shit done, no complacency. Really nice. Is that one that you already had, or did you just come up with those ones, Matt? Oh,
Oh,
brilliant.
nice.
So you started doing this in February. Brilliant. Okay, and then Simon Roberts. So accountability, integrity, value, respect, quality, and positivity. And are those ones that you had in place, or are they just from today? Had in place. Brilliant. Right. And the reason I wanted to ask you this and to share some of those is that core values are unique, right? They come from, the leader generally, as I've already said. So what I want to do is I want to address something that might have been going on when I'm reading those out. Some of you might have heard those and thought, they don't sound right to me. Possibly those core values might even sound a bit stupid. And you know what? That's fine, because here's the truth. If someone else's core values don't feel right to you, then you shouldn't be working at that business. And that's really exactly what this exercise is all about. We're figuring out who does belong in your business and who doesn't. And really, only a small percentage of people out there will share your core values. But if you don't know what they are, you'll never be able to find those people. You won't match with them because you don't know what to look for. So taking these first steps, writing your core values down, making them real, putting them out into the universe and hiring against those values is the first step towards building a powerfully aligned organization. Core values are what's important to you. You want people in your organization who match those values. So it's far better to figure this out up front during the hiring process to ensure a good match rather than bringing someone on board who doesn't align with your core values. Because let's be honest, it's far more painful 90, 180 days later, worse still a year down the line, and find out that someone isn't a fit and you have to let them go. Okay, so what I want to do now is bring this to life. Earlier in the session, I mentioned the people analyzer. If you've got it printed out, great. If you haven't, don't worry. You can freehand what you see on the slide in front of you. Just take a pen and a paper and put in 4 rows, 8 columns, and then those angled lines at the top, and there should be about 8 of them. This tool will help you make some really important decisions about your people. If you want to reach your goals, you need to surround yourself with great people. And the People Analyzer, this is the first tool we're going to use under this umbrella. So this is how it works. Across the top, what I'd like you to do now is to put down your core values that you just came up with. So from the left to right in the top sort of where the angled lines are. So if you've got 3, you take up the first 3 columns. If it's 5, you take up the first 5 columns, but no more than 5 because we need the other 3 afterwards. So while you're doing that, let me just share with you the EOS core values. So the EOS core values are humbly confident, grow or die, help first, do the right thing, do what you say. Now, a lot of you might not care about these core values, but they actually matter to me. They're essential to EOS, the organization, and that's why EOS is the right fit for me and why I'm the right fit for EOS. So your values might be completely different, and that's absolutely fine. But please go ahead, write yours down, and remember, if this is the first time you're doing it, 3 values are fine. And once you've written them across the top, we'll move on. Okay, so let's move on to the left column that says name on the people analyzer. Here's what I'd like you to do. I'd like to write down 3 names. This is not that scary, I promise. So the first name I'd like you to write at the top is your own name. And then what I'd like to do is to write down the name of your best employee, someone in your organization that is absolutely smashing it. If you were to set up a new business, you take them along with you. And then the third name is somebody that maybe they've left the business quite recently and you're happy that they've gone, or maybe it's someone in the business that you're seriously considering they're not doing you any favors. Okay, so by now you should have your core values across the top and then those 3 names in that first column on the left-hand side. Right, now on to the fun bit. For each of your people and for yourself, you're going to assign a rating based on those core values. Okay, so before you start writing, let me fully explain what these rating system is. Okay, for each core value, you assign 1 of 3 possible ratings. A plus, this means the person exhibits the core value most of the time. So no one's perfect, it's not 100% of the time, but they do consistently and reliably demonstrate it. A plus minus, that means that they sometimes exhibit this core value and sometimes they don't. They're inconsistent, kind of hot or cold. And then minus, well, this means that most of the time they don't exhibit this core value. These 3 ratings, plus, plus minus, and minus, are what we use to evaluate each person against your core values. So let me give you an example to kind of make this a little bit clearer. Let's take Sally Jones, for example. You can see that she's a pluses across the board. So what does that mean? She's humbly confident. She's always knows herself. No ego, no arrogance, It's just confidence grounded in knowledge. Grow or die, she's always learning, stretching, growing, and improving herself. Help first, she helps others without expecting anything in return, ensure she's provided value. That one definitely resonates with me. Do the right thing. She's someone with high integrity, always choosing to do the right thing, even when it's hard, and do what you say. She's dependable and consistently follows through on her commitments. So Sally demonstrates these core values most of the time. Now let's compare John to one of those values. Let's compare him to humbly confident. So John's a plus minus. So what does that mean? Sometimes he demonstrates confidence, but other time arrogance may creep in, and he's inconsistent in this area. So this example shows you how to evaluate your team using the People Analyzer. So what I'd like to do is give you a couple of minutes, and here's what I'd like you to do. For each person, including yourself, rate how well they align with each core value. Now remember, plus, exhibit most of the time, plus minus, sometimes, and minus is rarely. Okay, so I'll give you a couple of minutes just to rate your people on that list, including yourself. You're not doing this, Morgan.
I'm I'm doing it in my head. I'm doing it for myself at least against the three core values that I describe. But it's not it's a difficult one for me because I believe in those values strongly. That's why I said them. Um, but I can think of uh yeah, I can think of individuals that exhibit them more and individuals that don't exhibit them as much as others. So yeah.
So if anyone of you are struggling with this, don't overthink it. You just got to trust your gut on this because your gut already knows. Just write down what feels right. It's fairly simple process. This it's not supposed to push the brain cells too hard. Well, if everybody's done that, because I can't see what anyone's doing, I've got no thumbs up or anything, so I'm just going to take a guess. What I would like to do now is to reflect on your own ratings, okay, on your own ratings. So if you didn't give yourself all pluses, so this is you being the person on the People Analyzer, then it might be that you need to change something. Here's why. If you can't personally demonstrate a core value most of the time, then it might not be a true guiding core value for your organization. You have to ask yourself, are these values truly reflective of the culture I want to create? So this is your chance to refine and adjust if needed. Now, let's talk about the bar. The bar is how we decide, is what we use to determine whether someone is the acceptable standard for your organization. So the people analyst doesn't really mean anything until you set a bar. And setting that bar means there's a minimal acceptable standard for your organization. So here's how EOS recommends setting the bar. For an organization with, say, 5 core values like EOS, the bar would typically be set at 3 pluses, 2 plus minuses. This combination is really just a guideline. You can adjust it to fit your needs. The important thing is to find what feels right for your organization. If someone meets or exceeds the bar, they're the right person. If they fall below the bar, they're likely not a right fit. So going back to you and your leadership team, if you find you're struggling to meet the bar, again, this is a signal that you may need to take a closer look at your core values. And here's why. If the leadership team are the most important people in your business, aren't consistently aligning with those core values, those values might not truly reflect your culture. So revisit your core values and ask, are these values guiding the organization we're trying to build? And are they realistic? And that's the big one for us to live out every day. If the answer is no, this is your opportunity to refine them so they accurately represent your organization. Now, if you use the People Analyzer to find someone falling below the bar, it doesn't mean that you should go out and automatically fire them. Our advice around that would be that you have to ask yourself, have I given them the coaching they need? Have I given them the time they need to improve? And have I done everything I can to set them up for success? And reflect on whether there's anything you, as a leader, might have missed. And it's only after that has been done that you should move to the next step, which is really getting your arms around that person and start with a performance improvement plan. Okay, great work so far. I hope I haven't overwhelmed everybody so far. And we're going to move on to the next step, which is the right seat. So we've got the right people. people that exhibit your core values, and they're all above the bar. Now what we want to do is talk about the right seats for your organization. Right seats are people who are good at their job. They are people with the genetic encoding, the skills, the experience, the ability, and desire to be great at their job. And the tool we use to help find the right seats is something called the accountability chart. Now, here's how it works. We're going to take a big step back. When I work with my leadership teams, I take a big step back and we work together to identify the right structure for your organization. And it is a big step, looking at your organization as if you're not part of it. So the accountability chart is based upon this fundamental belief that every organization has three typical major functions. Every organization has a sales and marketing function where you're going to go out to marketplace, create demand, turn demand into orders. Every organization has an operations function. This is where you build product, deliver service, possibly you do both. And every organization has a finance function. So where you track money flowing in and out of the business, deal with financial controls and manage assets. If you put it really simply, every organization has three functions: get work, do work, get paid. So we're going to tailor these major functions to your unique organizational needs. Now, we do make an assumption that your organization has an additional two functions in it. And the first one is the integrator. The integrator is the person who beats the drum, the organization, the glue that holds everything together, the person that drives accountability, and the one that harmoniously integrates that leadership team to play, to achieve a common vision. And then you've got the visionary. This is the big ideas person. They love staying at 30,000 feet. They come to every meeting with 20 plus ideas. They're the creative problem solvers, but they don't much like getting in the trenches. And when it comes to the tough conversations, they much prefer to leave that to the integrator. Now at EOS, when we've seen that these two roles are in sync, you truly get rocket fuel and they become a dynamic duo. Now, once you understand the fundamental belief and the basic structure, we customize this accountability chart to make it the right structure for your unique organization. Now, don't worry, we are not going to complete everything today. As I said at the start, my goal is just to get you start thinking in a new way about how to structure your business. But for now, if you're able to grab a piece of paper, I'd like you to take your best swing. But before you do that, just hear me out. So when customizing the accountability chart, we always start on the bottom row. We start with the three major functions I mentioned earlier and customize them to suit your unique organization. So as an example, sales and marketing, well, sometimes that's split into two distinct functions. Operations might be split into manufacturing, service delivery, process improvement, quality control, etc. Depending on the type of business, finance might split into HR and IT. Your organization will have anywhere between 3 to 7 major functions on the front line, all reporting to the integrator. I don't expect anyone to get it perfect today. I just want you to start playing around with this and just get your gears turning. Just take a shot. Just illustrate how many major functions you believe it takes to run your business to achieve your vision. Now, very important point. Critical to the outcome of the accountability chart and to the right structure for your organization is to think like this: structure first, people second. So name the functions, no titles. Don't put people into boxes yet. Try not to even think about the people in your organization. Define the ideal structure for your organization. Forget about people for now. They don't work there. What's the right structure to accomplish your vision? Once we define the structure, we'll reintroduce the people in a few minutes. They are allowed to come back. Okay. So I'll give you a couple of minutes just to do that. Have you got any questions yet? Have you noticed?
We've got, yeah, there's one question in the Q&A section
We
that
could
we'll
give it a go while people are doing that.
Yeah, sure. So Paul Rex says, how would you differentiate between core values and guiding principles? We've already defined our core values based on the EOS model, but we're considering whether it makes sense to define guiding principles as well. Do you think both are necessary if they have different purposes?
Um, it's one of those questions. It kind of needs another question. I would always come back with what is the purpose to this? What are they trying to achieve? But we can come back to that one at the end.
I have. Do you think there is a difference between guiding principles and core values?
Well, there's lots of ways of saying the same thing, aren't there? It's a tricky
Well,
one.
that's kind of my question, because the
That's
first
why I'd like
things.
to know the purpose. Do you see what I mean? So for me, the purpose of the values is to get the people all aligned. A guiding principle might be more about what the core focus of the business is, for example. So I'm
Mm,
not entirely sure how to answer the question.
my my opinion is that if your core values are truly well defined, you don't need guiding principles, because it is the core values that will drive the guiding principles, no matter what industry you're actually in. Um, that's my take.
Yeah, yeah. Words can be tricky to
Yeah,
sometimes. One of
yeah.
the things we talk about at EOS very specifically is you've got to have one language in a
Hmm.
business.
Hmm.
So if for example you did define those the same thing as the same thing, core values, guiding principles, you'd be like, right, we need to stick to one. We're either going to call them guiding principles or we're either going to call them values. Don't call them both because you just confuse people. So
Yeah.
okay, so hopefully everyone has started to create their own structure, and I hope you had a bit of fun with that. So what you have now is just a basic template. You have the right major functions and the reporting structure for your organization. Now what we need to do is we need to define the five, and it is five major roles that each function, for each of those function. And this is really a simple entrepreneurial approach, okay? No job descriptions needed, no titles. So for example, sales and marketing seat, the role is accountable for LMA. So that stands for lead, manage, and account, hold to account. And this person leads, manages the sales and marketing team. They also do some selling and overseeing marketing processes like generating leads and creating marketing materials. And they're accountable for hitting sales and revenue goals, and they're accountable for account management, keeping accounts happy and generating revenue. So if that makes sense, the next step for you is to create a true accountability chart is by coming up with the five major roles for each of your functions, defining all of your C's. Now, if a function has people reporting underneath it, then the first role is always LMA, and that means they're hiring, managing schedules, handling performance, all the HR tasks that go along with managing people. So what I'd like you to do is just take 2 more minutes just to jot down the five major functions, excuse me, roles, five major roles of just one seat. Okay, let's have a go at the five major functions for one seat. No one's expecting you to complete the entire accountability chart. This is just to get you thinking. And this is also maybe a good opportunity for you when you go back to your leadership team to start building this out in a more comprehensive way. So I'll give you a minute to have a little go at that. Do you know what your major functions are, roles are?
Is that a trick question?
No, 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 really. I mean, is there real clarity about what are you accountable for what you do in your role?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a little bit different with Halo, I suppose. So I always say that I provide help wherever help is needed. My core, I think, truly speaking, my core function at Halo from an internal perspective is to share as much knowledge and as much of what we call the Halo way as possible. Um, there's we have a strong ethos of sort of creating almost clones of ourselves, down to more junior members of staff, and uh, I feel like Tim Bowers has done a pretty good job of that on me, and I'm trying to do the same with others. And from an external perspective, my job function is primarily to help our customers, and how I go about doing that varies quite significantly on a day-to-day basis. But mainly, it's around helping drive our roadmap forwards, helping prioritize the relevant development work that we need to do to ensure that HaloPSA stays as the most powerful PSA platform on the market.
Sounds like you defined your major roles there.
Yeah, there's that, and there's a lot of others, but I think, like we've
Yeah,
said, we've only got an hour, so
yeah.
yeah,
Well, it's always about trying to just really simplify it and just really
yeah,
break it down to the bare essentials so that when you read it, yeah, that's it. That's easy.
yeah,
Okay. So once you define the structure and the roles, it's time to put, as I promised at the start, the right people in the right seats. And that's kind of what the whole purpose of this workshop's about. So we're going to use this tool to put people in seats that they are great at, that they love to do, and that they consistently execute on match the 5 roles in each of those seats. So the goal is to match the 5 roles for each seat with the right people. But before we do that, I've got to confirm something important. Okay. There are 3 things that must be true for someone to fit a seat, and we call those GWC, get it, want it, capacity. So I just want to break it down. I'll start with capacity. Capacity basically refers to whether a person has what it takes to succeed in the seat. So do they have the intellect to handle the complexity of the role? Do they possess the training and the skills required to do the job? Do they have the emotional capacity to manage the stress and the challenges of the position? And have they got the physical capacity to consistently deliver on the role? So without capacity, it doesn't really matter how much they want or get it, they simply won't be able to perform effectively. Want it means the person genuinely springs out of bed every day excited about the job. You're not begging them to want it, you're not bribing them with a higher salary or extra perks. They truly want the role, and you don't need to motivate them anymore. They're just driven to succeed. Now, get it means a person has an intuitive understanding of the job. It's almost like a genetic thing built into them. This is really straightforward, but it's incredibly important. They naturally understand the role. They grasp what needs to be done and how to execute it on it. I'd like to read something out for you. So there's a PhD guy called Ken Robinson. He describes it really well. He goes, this is an aptitude or a natural ability for something. It's an intuitive grasp of what the job is, how it works, and what's required to do it well. And here's the key. You can't teach someone to get it. They either get it or they don't. Okay. So now that we've defined your accountability chart, you're going to know the structure of your organization, and then you're going to know the 5 major roles for each seat. So now it's time to build out the rest of the accountability chart using GWC. And this step ensures that you're placing the right people in the right seats. And to do this, we need to go back to the people analyzer. What I'd like you to now do and ask you to do is to put get it, want it, and capacity in those last 3 columns that are available on the people analyzer. And then what I want to do is to evaluate each person in your organization by asking yourself, do they get it? Do they want it? And do they have the capacity? And this is a very simple yes or no. Let's revisit our sales and marketing example. Imagine reviewing someone named Sally, who we've already did for the right people, and we've already established that she is above the bar. Now we've got to ask her, is she in the right seat? Does Sally get it? Does she naturally understand sales and marketing? Does she want it? Is she excited about connecting with customers and growing business? And does she have the capacity? Does she have the skills, the training, the resilience to succeed in that seat? This is a simple but powerful exercise that gives you real clarity. The People Analyzer is one of the most effective tools in the EOS process because it provides a clear answer. Now, the bar is always set at 3 yeses. The person must get it, they must want it, and they must have the capacity. If there's a single no, it's a deal breaker. So I just want to give you a minute just to quickly have a look at your 3 people that you've written down in there and give them a quick rating. Do you yes all your roles and all your roles that you're accountable for?
Yeah,
All good?
I think so. Yeah, sorry, I was just thinking. I definitely get it, and I want it, and I have the yeah, capacity is there's a question mark over capacity. Um, Emotional capacity, mental capacity, yeah, 100%. Sometimes I am guilty of, I think it's this age-old thing of delegating, right? Or struggling to. I think I struggle to delegate, and that leaves me with more work than I can handle, while simultaneously preventing some of my colleagues from having the opportunity to grow into more senior positions. So that's been a big thing. For my 2025, I've been trying to delegate more. So that's what I would say. Yeah.
Sounds a bit like a leadership kind of
Yeah.
capacity issue. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's really really common.
I think I'm in a leadership position because of the fact that I've always taken things on myself and I've been
Yeah.
very autonomous. Um, it's difficult to maintain. Sorry, it's difficult to change the way that you are when you move into that position of leadership, to give work away, because I don't want to make other people busy, you know. So but like I've said it myself, I say it to other people, and it's kind of like a do as I say, not as I do stance. um you should definitely not hold on to too much work, you know.
Yeah, you can hold everything back if you do that as well. Be careful. Well, I want to share with you a tool another time that might help you actually. So, okay, we're getting a bit short on time, so I'll carry on. So I just want to recap on where we are so far. So what have we done today? We've identified your core values, or we've looked at them again to see that they're the right ones. Um, We've analyzed your people using core values and GWC in the people analyzer. We built out your accountability chart, defining the structure and the 5 roles of 1 seat to start with. And you're using the people analyzer to match those right people to the right seats. When you complete this process, you'll achieve 100% alignment. And what that means is you're going to get everyone in your organization will just consistently exhibit those core values, and every person will be in the right seat for their skills, their passion, their ability. And really, that's what it takes to build a high performing and a thriving organization. Now, there is I call it an upstroke downside to this. Before you do this, you probably didn't know you had these, but this is what it will do. It will clearly provide clarity to you that you have the right person in the wrong seat and the wrong person in the right seat. Those are the 2 distinct people issues that you'll be confronted with. So the right person, the wrong seat, these are people that you love. They fit your culture like a glove, and they're just great to have around, but they're just not performing. They haven't got the right skills and the ability. Now, the good news is if you've got a big organization like Halo, for example, you can probably find the right seat for them and put them in that. But if you're in a smaller organization and there's nowhere for them to go, you kind of have to have that hard conversation, because you can't have someone around just because you like them. Now, the second issue that you come up is the wrong person in the right seat. Now, the wrong person is that they're going to damage relationships, hurt morale, chip away your culture. And I, as an implementer, I urge, I beg, I sometimes even plead with my clients that they need to make the tough call. Because at the end of the day, people are your most important part of the business. And if you got to getting the right is getting that right is critical to the success. So today's goal really was to help you think about new ways to build the best team for your business. And I hope that I've done that and I've sparked some ideas for you. So while getting the right people in the right seats is essential, it's really, as you can see, just one piece of the puzzle. Real transformation comes from strengthening all 6 components of the EOS model and using them together as a unified system. The EOS model is a system designed to harness human energy and align every part of your organization towards achieving that vision. Now, at the start of today's session, I promised to give you the tools to help you get the right people in the right seat for your business, and I hope you feel ready to take some action. Now, one of my core values is to help first. So if you'd like more support, or you want to schedule a call to discuss how I can help you to strengthen the other 5 components or the people component, I'm very happy to help. And as a bit of a kind of added bonus, I'm going to give away 10 free books of the book Traction to the first 10 people to get in contact with me. That book, honestly, it's changed my life and given me everything I wanted. So I can't tell you how important it is to me. So there's some details. Oh, whoops, gone wrong page. Sorry about this, guys. So yeah, just we've got a couple of minutes for some questions. And Morgan, I don't know if there's anything in the chat.
Just from Paul again, and Michael Robertson. Hey, Michael, popped into the chat and just asked if the webinar is recorded. It is, yeah. There's a lot of, it's been a very information dense webinar for sure. So yeah, you'll be able to go back and watch it perhaps a couple of times. Yeah, no, it's a little bit of a different webinar, this one. Usually, as I mentioned to you, James, usually we sort of do integrations and very product and technical webinars. Uh, this is a nice sort of breath of fresh air. And I think I have these conversations with MSPs all the time about how everyone is so absorbed in the tech, right? In the, oh, what's this integration? What's this new feature? Blah, blah, blah. I don't hear enough conversations, perhaps because of because I'm a technology vendor, but there's not enough conversations around the people element of the businesses that these MSPs run. So it's, yeah, like I say, it's a breath of fresh air. Yeah, Paul said that guiding principles are the action-oriented statements
Oh
versus
yeah,
core values, which are fundamental beliefs.
yeah, yeah. Well, what we like to do actually with core values is to turn them into a more kind of action-based value, so it gives it more meaning. Like, humbly
Mm.
confident, for example, it's not just, because a lot of the time people just use one word and it can be interpreted lots of ways. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that Halo doesn't have any guiding principles really. I mean, we definitely do, but well, that's a juxtaposed statement. But what I'm saying is here at Halo, we have very strong core values. How they are implemented in the individual is kind of up to them. So in that sense, we don't have guiding principles because we don't have a set of standard operating procedures outside of those that you would expect from our consultancy team, from our support team, etc. But we have really strong core values, and I personally prefer that because that allows us to be dynamic in taking those core values into any situation and applying them, right? Versus guiding principles that might make things seem a little bit more rigid.
Yeah, yeah. And I guess it depends on the kind of organization you're trying to create as well. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's funny. I don't think that HaloPSA is worlds apart from our MSP customers. At the end of the day, we are both here to service, support, and keep our customers happy, keep them safe and secure, and keep them coming back to us. So in that sense, what we do at Halo and what an MSP does are not very different, and that's something that I have seen firsthand.
brilliant. Well, Morgan, I think we're nearly coming out for time. I just wanted to take the opportunity to thank you for having me on today. I really enjoyed it. Hope it's provided some value to your esteemed clients.
I certainly think so. Yeah. Once again, everyone, go and reach out to James Carson. If you wanted to pop your email into the chat, James, that might just help people know where to find you. Yeah, drop James an email. Even if you haven't sort of followed through with the exercises, hopefully it's given you guys a bit of food for thought. And if you wanted to continue the conversation with James, he's popped his email into the chat. Likewise for me, I'll pop my email into the chat for you. And if you have any Halo PSA related questions, obviously feel free to reach out to me. There was one question that came up earlier from Michael Volchok that was he asked, is this a webinar about EOS or is this a webinar about how to implement EOS into Halo? And James, this was something that we discussed recently, and um, you know, the the practices, the methodology that you're applying with EOS is something that's far more wide-reaching than just the PSA that you use. So while this webinar has not been directly about Halo configuration, hopefully you've found it valuable nonetheless. If anything, it makes it more valuable because these principles that James has mentioned are principles that expand throughout your entire business, irrespective of the tech stack that you're using.
irrespective of the industry.
Yeah, yeah, exactly right. Yeah,
We
yeah.
see,
If you're right,
we EOS is run in anything from an MSP all the way through to your local laundrette, so.
yeah, yeah. Cool. Well, if no one has any other questions, we'll give you last chance. Not a question, but a request from Matt to have an EOS web service integration into Halo. James, perhaps that's something that we could talk about offline. Not entirely sure what that would entail, but yeah, can definitely explore that. Yeah, cool. Well, once again, thanks everyone for tuning in, and if you're watching this on YouTube, thanks for listening, thanks for watching this. Feel free to pop a like and a comment below. And once again, thank you very much, James, for spreading the wisdom of EOS. And
Absolute
look
pleasure.
forward to talking again with you soon.
Brilliant. Thanks so much, Morgan.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.